Our field is down to 3. Gus Hansen bopping his way to the top. He has a commanding lead. His latest victim, TJ Cloutier. Phil Ivey starting to make his move, but it's an uphill battle here for he and Johnny Chan. They're going to have to double up at least 1 or 2 more times to get back in this game. Phil sitting on a suited ace-jack.
And Phil has enough chips here where he doesn't have to necessarily move in. He can just raise the pot.
He raises to $60,000. Gus Hansen with a suited ace-deuce.
Gus can play this a lot of ways. He could re-raise Phil to try to take the pot right now, or he can just call and see a flop.
And he does the latter. He calls to see the flop. And Johnny Chan folds. So 2 players on this flop now. That icy cold stare of Phil Ivey. The flop is a pair of 8s and a 3.
Which doesn't improve either hand, but leaves Phil Ivey in a very commanding position. The thing is, though, Gus Hansen may not know that he is behind in the hand. And Gus may very well bet here.
Gus does bet $75,000.
When a guy bets into you when the flop comes a pair, instantly you think he might be weak. Because you don't think that he would lead into you if he had flopped 3/8. Phil has 2 options here. He can either call Gus to try to freeze him on the turn, or he can push all in and just test his luck.
Phil chooses to call.
Gus really isn't sure what that means.
Turn is a 10 of hearts.
That's a card that helps Gus's hand. That may help him continue his bluff now that he's picked up a flush draw. Phil is really hoping Gus checks here. I don't even know if Gus knew there was a heart on the flop at the time, and the flush draw might have caught him by surprise, and he's not sure what to do.
Gus bets $200,000. This is a bully bluff.
It's a bully bluff, and it's very, very bold. This is an outstanding bet by Gus Hansen. It's really putting the pressure on Phil Ivey. And for Phil Ivey to just call this, he's basically risking his whole tournament. $200,000 is a good portion of his stack. Phil is still trying to think, what did Gus's lead on that flop mean with the 2/8 and the 3? Did he really lead at me with 3/8?
We know that Phil has the best hand, but this is really a hard hand to play.
No, it's really difficult to call. He has no pair, just ace-jack high. And Gus has betted into him twice, this time $200,000.
And he folds. Phil Ivey folds, and Gus wins the pot.
Gus Hansen takes down the biggest bluff of the tournament right there, and he didn't just have to bluff once. He had to bluff twice to take down that pot.